Match week is intense, with everybody posting about their scores and predictions. But in iGaming, digital PR is what helps the sportsbooks get seen the right way. It's all about simple, true stories that sites might want to talk about, like getting fresh quotes from former players, sharing simple number stories about who might win in the game, planning before it, moving fast on the day, and following up after the final whistle. Today, we'll keep it very simple. Which stars gets a yes, how to plan ahead for big nights like the Champions League, and of course, what to not do so we won't get a head card. Our guest today is Oliver Dawnay, head of PR and creative at Kensho Media, and just like me, a huge football fan. I'm our host, Julio Coupé from Kensho Media with Popcorn, and this is...
Oliver, let me ask you something. For a sports book, what can digital PR do during football season?
Well, I've been in digital PR for 4 years, and I think the biggest thing that digital PR can do for a sports book is get expert commentary from former footballers. They could be a pundit who's currently on Sky, TNT Sports. It could be a former manager like Roy Hodgson, who I did the other day, the former England manager.
Oh,
It
that's
could be
nice.
also a former player, so Sergio Aguero, who retired about a couple of years ago, get his thoughts on all the goings on in football at the moment. But what I think is really crucial about that is that they can give live commentary throughout the season, which resonates with journalists, and therefore you're able to get some amazing links.
Is there a player or somebody, let's say a celebrity, as you said, so a manager even, that you interview, that you talked to, that it was like a big surprise? Like, oh, I wasn't expecting this person to be as good as a communicator or as open to communicate. Did it happen?
Yeah, I said that did happen actually, and that was probably a couple months ago when I interviewed Emmanuel Petit. He's a World Cup winner for France. He also won the Premier League with Arsenal. And he was an amazingly well-spoken French man. And I really enjoyed speaking to him because he played for some big clubs like Chelsea, Arsenal, and he managed to cast some light on sort of the best players for them, the biggest talking points in football at the time. But I just thought he took me by surprise with how good he was and how good his quotes were. And that resulted in some great coverage online.
That's very nice. I'm actually thinking about it right now for those watching the video even. Some might be asking, okay, but how do I get in touch with these people? Like, they're huge. You even said so yourself, World Cup winner. How do you first establish contact? Is it through the agent? Is it through an agency? Is it through a broadcast list? Is there a way that we can get in touch with Sergio Aguero for digital PR purposes that it's easier than another?
Yes. So in the digital PR world, you can either go in cold, where you literally just search up online Emmanuel Petit agent, or just try and find a footballer online, or you can build up a network where you can build up a relationship with agencies who have talent on their books already. In this case, we luckily knew a talent agency who had Emmanuel on their books. Then you can just book Emmanuel for an hour, host a little media roundtable where journalists come and join the calls. And that's a really good way of doing it, I think. And then as you build that relationship, it grows with more and more talent pundits as you go on.
Enlightening those that don't understand exactly what digital PR is. If you're going to be very crude and simplistic about the explanation, some people say it's a high quality link building effort. Some say it's a high quality interview effort. Some say it's an article that you have help from different angles. You have contact directly to the journalist, as you said, so to the player. So it is always going to be better than just a guest post that we created here right now. But we are still talking about celebrities. We're still talking about people who have a lot of money. Do they also charge a lot of money for these interviews?
In some cases, yes. It depends how many backlinks you want to achieve from an interview. Obviously, as is the modern world, the bigger the celebrity, the more expensive they're going to cost. If you really want to have a big campaign where you get loads of links, obviously you can go for a big celebrity. However, there are cleverer ways you can go about it, where you can get a niche name. So it could be someone in sport who appeals to a niche sport. It could be something like golf. Basically, because there's niche golf titles, that could be more appealing to clients who want backlinks in some unique domains. So you can be clever about it. You can go for smaller names at smaller fees, where you can target niche publications, or you can go for big name and then go for widespread coverage. And yes, they are often expensive.
Is there a player that you still haven't had a chance to talk to, but you're very eager to do so? Let's not throw the the legendary names here. Let's talk a little bit more about what we can literally achieve, let's say, like next month.
I'm a Chelsea fan and I'd love to speak to Eden Hazard. He's now retired, so there's no issues.
Me too.
He's retired, so there's no issues there. I know he cost a lot of money, but we often go for retired players because obviously they have commitments to their clubs, they have their sponsors already, so you can't really get them to talk to a brand because they already have their existing relationships. But when they retire, it's quite easy to get them. And Eden Hazard's my big Chelsea fan, so he's one of my favourite players. I'd love to speak to him one day.
Same. I'm going to be very, very, very glad when this happens. Look, we're talking about the players now, but I actually want to ask about the editors, the journalists. Is there a story angle that makes them say yes at the moment that you pitch them? Maybe data studies, maybe fan polls, maybe transfer stories, derbies, El Clasico, Arsenal versus Chelsea. There's something that they are very needy every single time that is a guaranteed yes in your pitch?
Every journalist is different in terms of there are some publications who love, for example, supercomputers, where it's all data driven. And it basically, we do a big data piece which predicts the Premier League results at the beginning of the season. So it could be Arsenal to win the Premier League, Man City to become second, and these three teams are going to get relegated. That could be of interest to one publication. And then on the other hand, you get some publications who are like, we love transfer stories. So we'd love to speak to Emmanuel Petit for 15 minutes and get his thoughts on Kylian Mbappe potentially moving to Liverpool. There's lots of other different things that always work. It could even be like a body language expert who's analysing Gareth Southgate, for example, when he was an English manager, if his body language signified that he was under pressure during his time as England boss when he was under pressure. Yeah, so there's many different angles you can go at. It could even be Wimbledon as well. There's lots of different sports. There's so many different angles. That's the beauty of sport. It's ever changing. And the beauty of it is too, is that every publication wants something different.
Is there an angle that if you were a journalist, you would always pick?
I like the transfer angles. The nostalgic content is something that I like as a journalist. I interviewed Roberto Di Matteo the other day. So as a big Chelsea fan,
Nice.
I was very happy to talk about the Champions League. Unfortunately, because everyone knows what he did during that Champions League win in 2012, that doesn't appeal to journalists as much as it does to me, because that's not going to get them traffic online. So you have to be very particular about what you ask these pundits in that case, or in data situations. You have to be very particular about what data stories you bring out to the media, because it may not fit what they want. So you have to really gauge their feedback before you go out with the story.
Why don't we keep on talking about Champions League then?
Yeah.
It is the world's biggest stage, as a lot of us already know. And it's, of course, the one that generates most traffic, money, engagement. It is literally what companies, especially the betting ones in football, should look out whenever they're doing a digital PR campaign. My question is, if we had 1 month to work before the Champions League game, let's even talk about, I'm not going to say a final, but let's talk about after group stage levels, okay? What campaign would you build? Is there a specific one? Is there a formula? Is it always going to be a case-by-case scenario? Is there something that these iGaming companies can leverage out of a Champions League game?
Yeah, so there definitely is. And I think the best way of doing that, again, is probably looking down the pundit route. I've had some big gambling companies work with me, and they said, we want to build up a campaign all the way to the Champions League final, and we want to roll out the quotes. We want to put the quotes on our owned content as well, so that they have content on their site, which people can refer to. So they don't just get the backlinks from the interview, but they also get the owned content on their channels, which they can put on their social media as well,
Nice.
which is very important for them. But yeah, as you say, it's the biggest football occasion of the year, except for the World Cup, obviously coming up next year.
Sure.
But yeah, as you say, it's a really big opportunity to get some really good coverage. And especially if you get a pundit who's related to someone in the final. So if Real Madrid are in the final, getting a former name like that. But then also, you can also do other campaigns which coincide with it. As I said, we do supercomputers for the Champions League. So you can predict who's going to win the Champions League using data. And that's a really good way of sort of getting also backlinks on the way to the final as well. So lots of avenues you can go down to really promote the Champions League final through a company.
Let's talk more about it then. The big day arrived. It's literally here. It's this Saturday. Champions League final. Barcelona versus Chelsea. Barcelona will win 5-0. I think that's the prediction. What do we do before? What do we do during? What do we do after the game?
Sure. So before the game, it'd be really good to get the interview that you've done and get their prediction for the final out. So that's outreach your quotes to the media. try and get coverage before the final, get lots of traffic back to the homepage that their company want. And then also before the game is very important because there's live blog coverage. So you can then go out with odds from the sportsbook straight to journalists who are covering the game live on their match blogs. There are multiple match blogs, especially for huge games like the Champions League final. So there's many different publications that you can target with odds from that sportsbook. After the game, obviously the quotes would have been, the timeless nature of the quotes would have run out because you wouldn't have known the result of the quotes. But it's a good time to then double down and get some more comments and reaction to the final in order to get that sort of get that brand again in titles after the game.
Can you walk me through post-game campaign / articles / blog posts? What would it look like? Would it be in an iGaming company? Would it be maybe asking the reader if they got their odds right? Would it be if, I don't know, I actually have no idea. How does it look?
Well, to be honest, digital PR in the sports world is very much before the game rather than after the game. There's
True.
not much you can do after the game because really it's all about building up to the game, which sort of boosts the rankings for a company. After the game, it becomes less important, and it's really up to the gambling brand to really see how their results did and see if the digital PR that we did made an impact. So it's less about the after, it's more about the before.
It looks like there is a very combined effort between different teams then, because before the match, digital PR campaigns going very strong. You have a lot of links going out. After the match, kind of becomes more of a social media problem within the company. So now the social media team of Bet Victor, Julio, Coupé will then talk about the results. It'll be a very nice carousel with images. So as you said, it's not anymore about digital PR. It's not anymore about even PR. It becomes a different team, but it's all within marketing. Do we have the same treatment before the match? Is there a synergy between teams within the same iGaming company to make sure that the campaign will go out?
Yeah, I think there's a synergy in terms of the fact that often the digital PR will be doing the work, and then there's metrics, which obviously are measured by the company that you're working for. So they'll see the amount of links that's produced from the campaign, and they'll see how many follow links, and they'll basically see how well the campaign is doing. And then they themselves will usually do the forensic SEO work, where they'll see the keywords that are doing well, the keywords that they promoted. So before, it's very much a relationship, but almost more transactional on the digital PR side, because they'll just get the links. But then on the other side, they'll really understand how the campaigns really improved their rankings. Often it's not really communicated from the other side to the digital PR about the rankings, but they'll know in their particular team how well the campaign is done.
This brings me to another question then, which is the KPIs. How do we know it worked? You were talking right now about the things that, I've seen that this worked, the links are now live, the traffic has boosted. What else are these teams looking for whenever they're trying to understand the performance of a digital PR campaign?
Yeah, well, it's a very, very good question, because every day the nature of the game changes. I've been in digital PR for 4 years now, and every day it's different. So when I first started, it just used to be volume of links. It didn't matter if it was a follow link. It didn't matter if it was a no follow link. It just get me as many links as you can. I will be happy. Then about 3 years ago, it changed to, no, we don't want any no follow links. So we want you to target follow links only, because no follow links mean nothing to us. And that obviously for the journalists, for the PR like me, it makes it frustrating, because you think you've done well getting loads of links, but then half of them are not good enough for the client. And then it's even changed again to make it harder. As I said, it's changing every day. Now the perfect link is a follow link from a unique domain. If a campaign with Roberto Di Matteo featured in The Sun, for example, and there was a follow link, that would be a great link. However, if 4 days later, another link appeared in The Sun and it was a follow link, that means nothing to them, because it's a repeat domain. So they need a wide variety of links, and they have to be follow links, and they have to be unique links. So every day it changes, and sort of the goalpost is narrowing every day for the digital PRs, but that's the nature of the game, and that's iGaming for you.
That's true. That's iGaming for you. Flipping the coin, what should they be avoiding then? Because we're talking about what they want to win. You even said so that for a couple of years, no follow links were good enough. Then it became all do follow links. So Is there something nowadays that these brands, these iGaming brands, should avoid in football PR, maybe even just trademarks, odd claims, something like this that you have already seen that can be more harmful to the company?
Yeah, for sure. So there's lots of big things that big gambling brands must avoid because I've seen firsthand some big companies getting hit with massive fines for failure to comply with compliance. And that could be basically approving an interview with a big sportsman who's got a big blemish on their name in the past. So it could be a drink driving, it could be even gambling, obviously. So gambling's a big one. So if, for example, there was a name who was interviewed on behalf of the company and they have gambling issues in the past, that would be a big no-no. Obviously, minors is a big one as well. So you can't promote gambling to under 18-year-olds. So you need to steer clear of hiring a name who could appeal to someone under the age of 18, because obviously gambling is illegal for under 18-year-olds. So those are all very important things that you have to consider when you're doing a digital PR campaign for a gambling brand.
I'm gonna bring his name again just because he's always on top of mind, especially me being Brazilian and a Barcelona fan. I think it was during COVID, Neymar got involved with Blaze back in Brazil. Blaze is a huge provider. They are even all over the world right now. And I remember that Neymar was working with an affiliate link for people to click on the link and then start playing through Blaze's game. And then months later, the news went out that a lot of people got poorer because of Neymar, because Neymar shared the affiliate link for a casino. And then this is nothing at all new for us here within the digital PR world. Are you saying that we should, moving forward, even especially after that Neymar case, brands should start looking at the audience that the player has? So Neymar had a lot of young girls and young boys who were and still are his fans. Right? You have kids, you have teenagers that are always watching Neymar steps. So this is what you're talking about. We should also consider the audience that the player has before we invite them over to an iGaming campaign.
Yes, yeah, yes, definitely. I think a name like Neymar, especially when he was younger, is more of a risk because he was so popular, especially in Brazil with so many young kids.
True.
So it's a difficult one. You've got to be very careful with it. I think Neymar would get a fantastic result because he's such a big name.
He would for sure.
But you're right, especially when he was young. You can't. The good thing about digital PR is that you often can't get current players. As I said earlier, you often get retired players who don't have as much of an appeal to the younger audience.
Let me ask you this: why then? We are now spending over 15 minutes talking about the things that happen, the things that work and don't work. Even to this day, a lot of companies, a lot of brands, they want to pursue some of the most riskier methods and the most riskier campaigns because of viral traffic. Viral is important. Sometimes it's all that works. Is there a particular thing that you have against viral traffic when we're talking about an iGaming brand who's always working with digital PR? Is there something that whenever you hear people maybe raising their hands in the room saying, hey, why don't we do viral? Is there something that's like, oh, yeah, we can, but, let's take it easier? Is it such a thing, or any viral traffic is okay?
I think, to be honest, there's nothing better as a digital PR especially when something big happens in the one sport, that you pick up on it and you get quotes, and they're very good quotes that then everyone uses. There's no better feeling. So I quite like the viral element of it. However, again, like if you did quotes and they just appeal to the same domains and you've already got them, then there's something a bit repetitive and it could be a bit of a waste of money to your clients who are obviously paying you to do digital PR and they don't want the same links over and over again. But I quite like the fact that you're a journalist, and I've done it all before, that you can sort of touch on the viral stuff and it's like your own newsroom. So you're basically the middleman from journalists. You're a journalist working on behalf of the company. So you're the middleman and you can dictate the news agenda. So I quite like the viralness of it.
I think right now we got to the last point then. Should all iGaming brands work on a digital PR campaign? Are those that are not doing digital PR campaigns losing a lot of money because of loss of traffic and everything else? Or there's still time to consider doing digital PR?
I think they are losing money, yes. I think every day it's amazing how long it's been going, and you think it's going to run out of steam, this industry, but it never does. And I think I would encourage any sort of big gaming or gambling brands to do it. it's definitely worth doing.
True. But I think we can all say that if you are watching this and you don't do digital PR, we here at Kensho Media can do it for you. We've been working with casinos since 2008. Oliver himself is our head of PR, so he's going to be the one in charge of everything that you can do, everything that you shouldn't do, just as we've been talking across this entire episode. And of course, you heard the man, you're losing money by not doing it now.
You are indeed.